All right, we are here, another episode of The Chase with Jerome Avery. Welcome, man.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's good to have you on, and I can't wait for your story to be shared.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yep. So let's start with like where you came from and your childhood and what exactly about that is important for me and all the listeners, to really understand who Jerome Avery is.
I mean, I wouldn't be who I am without my parents, and my parents have definitely played a big part in my life. Big influence. My father worked for the government. My mother worked for the state. So helping your fellow man and woman has always been a part of my journey in order for me being the guide runner that I am today. I grew up with my mother who would always constantly want to be in the stores, talking to everybody, trying to make sure that, to cheer them up, to make sure that they're feeling good, even if they look a little sad or whatnot. My mom was that type of person. My father, not only did he was he in the military, but he was also a track coach. So my story was already written earlier on. That's the background I came from, running track. And he was the coach that had the summer track team going. So anybody who needed help, needed shoes, the kids that needed a place to stay for the summer or anything, he was that person. And I'm my family. I'm them. I'm my parents. And the journey has been amazing so far.
Yeah, no, it sure looks like that. And so when did track find you?
Earlier on in my life, my father definitely introduced me to track and field. And the craziest thing is, I don't know if a lot of you are familiar, but if you know who Tommy Smith is, he's the one at the Mexico Games in the 60s that raised up the fist. He actually went to my high school, so he's a little more high alumni. And my history of running started earlier on. His family would run against my family, so they all knew each other. And I had the opportunity my senior year in high school to where I was able to hear him speak at an assembly. And I just knew right then and there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna break all your records and I want to be an Olympian. Through my years of running track, I felt like my senior year, okay, this is the stepping stone for me to really pursue the career of running. And that's where it started pretty much. The excitement of it, having a hometown hero such as yourself, I wanted to be that guy.
Awesome. And then, so, high school, you're running track, what dream were you chasing, early on in your life?
It was to be an Olympian. I definitely wanted to be an Olympian. And it's funny how just life changes through your journey.
Yeah.
But that was my goal. My goal was to be an Olympian. 2000, I qualified. 2004, I qualified. But in 2004 was my best chance of making the team. So I felt, I made it to the semifinals. And all I needed to do was make it to the finals and possibly be on the relay pool. But that was my mindset at that time. My mindset really wasn't to be on that podium as an Olympic. It was to be at the games. And that I felt like at that time frame, because of 2000, I got knocked out the first round. The next coming up games, which is every 4 years, of course, I felt more prepared. Made it to the semifinals. Got knocked out. And then it was up to that time. What do I do next? Do I train another 4 years? Because that's the process, training 4 years and then getting ready to go and start all over. Do I want to do that, or do I want to find something else in my career? And I think 2004 was the first year where the Paralympics have really came involved into my life.
Wow. Okay. But you say 2000 versus 2004 was different.
Yes, most definitely.
Well, what'd you have to, what'd you learn and what'd you change in your life to get you in a better position for those 04 games?
I think 2000, I was excited to be there. I was excited to be at the trials. I was young, 17, and was happy to be around a lot of these athletes that I've seen competing at the games. And I felt that I made it. But that was, at the time frame, my goal was just to be around these elite athletes. I didn't think bigger. I wasn't thinking, okay, I want to make this team. I want to go to Sydney. I want to compete with the best of the best. And of course, with that mindset, I felt like that's what knocked me out. I should have been thinking further versus just making the Olympic trials.
Man, that's so on par with one of the, honestly, the greatest coaches I've ever had in my life, where he says, the honor lies not in the selection, but in the fulfillment of your deeds. So there's so many people that get to wear the jersey. There's so many people that get to go to the games, but it's the people that are in that moment, in those games, in that jersey, who do remarkable things. That's what a real, that's what's really remembered. And that's what you could be the most proud of.
Yeah, totally. For sure.
Man,
it's definitely created so many opportunities.
Yeah. Okay. So now you are running for yourself, and something that like puts a smile on me and inspires me to be better is the fact that not only are you chasing your dream, but you're single-handedly allowing another person to chase their dream. Can you just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, that started in 2004 when I didn't make it onto the games. It was just one of those things. My season is over. What do I do next? I got 4 years, but it just so happened while at the time, which used to be the Olympic Training Center in San Diego, where I was training full time, a good friend of mine who I was training with was a leg amputee. And he pretty much said, "Hey, Jerome, there's an opportunity for you to go to Athens, Greece. Are you interested in it?" And I said, "Athens, Greece." I knew he was a big time Paralympian and he had a lot of pull, but I was thinking that he was talking me going to the games for myself.
Yep.
But then he had slowly started talking about, the Paralympics are looking for a guide runner. Would you be interested? And I felt, at the time frame, I was like, Athens, Greece sounds like an amazing trip.
Yeah.
And I've never been around anybody who was blind at all. So the opportunity had presented itself. So instead of me leaving the training facility where I was training, and let me bring it back a little bit. As you know, being an elite athlete in the United States, if you're not doing what you're capable of doing at that elite level, it's easy for them to give you the boot and bring in somebody else that can do it.
Yep.
And that's just what we live in. So this gave me another opportunity, not only to stay at the Olympic Training Center to train, but also to do something a little bit different. So, and within that 2 weeks, I got an opportunity to meet a gentleman by the name of Lex Gillette, who was an amazing athlete. And we connected off the back, just as far as the conversation. And it taught me earlier on how to paint a picture in the way that someone that can't see can see it. The way that I communicate is totally different now. So I've learned a lot within that short amount of time. So it was a little bit bittersweet going to Athens, Greece for me, because the time frame, remember, I was prepping to get ready to make this team to go to Athens for myself. So while all of my teammates were in Athens getting ready for the games, going through the opening ceremonies, it was a little bit bittersweet for me, to see them going through, smiling, and I'm sitting back saying, "Oh man, I wish I could have been there. I wanted to be there." But after the games is over, 3 to 4 weeks later, you have the Paralympics that come there. Same venue, same stadium, same setup, but now you have the Paralympic Games that are taking place.
Okay.
Within that time frame, I had a guy, like I said, by the name of Lex Gillette, prepped him to get him ready to go. He had long jump. So as a guide runner, there's 2 different things you could do as a guide. You can be a caller, which is someone that stands at the end of the runway while you're clapping someone down in the long jump.
Yep.
Now, if you've never seen that, I advise you to YouTube this. It's pretty insane. You set him up, he's at the end of the runway, and you go down to where he jumps off the board, and you're clapping him down. Straight. And then this guy that is totally blind is running at you full speed, and you move out the way at the last minute.
Wow.
Now, that's insane right there. I know it's insane. So in that process, the guy that I was with, he ended up getting the silver medal. Mind you, 2 weeks to prepare. But all of my upbringing and the things that I've learned, I think have prepared me to be in this situation. As far as communication, as far as to sitting back and understanding the patience of what I do, that prepped me to be a guide runner. But it really didn't hit me until I saw him on the podium when he took the silver medal, knowing that, that's when I honestly feel that my journey as a guide really truly began. The success through selflessness, which I like to preach, the guiding lives, which is my movement, which I like to preach. To have him on the podium and knowing that you are a part of that is an extremely, extremely humbling feeling to know at this point in time, I'm put here on this earth to be someone else's eyes to achieve their dreams and accomplish their goals. It's an amazing feeling.
And that might be one of the realest things that I've heard on this podcast yet.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, and it's all because of what I do as a guide runner.
Yeah. And so you said that Lex taught you how to communicate differently. Can you, you know, what was it like before meeting Lex? And then after, you know, what sort of changes did you make?
You know what? I think it's the way that I paint the picture. I am now more hands-on, and I think about a lot of the things that I say in order for you to, I want you to close your eyes and be able to understand or to see where I'm going. And even in the journey that we're trying to do. And these are the things that I've learned from being around him. Before we even paired up, one thing that I wanted to do was put myself in his shoes, even if it was for that brief moment of putting the blinder over my eyes. I was in a huge open field, So I knew that there was nothing around me, but at the same time, that fear of the blinder over my eye, not being able to see, that's a scary feeling, especially if you try to run full speed.
Yeah.
You don't trust yourself. You don't trust yourself at all. So I thought about those things, and I thought about the fact that he's delegating his responsibilities to allow me to do what I do as a guide runner. That's a lot of trust right there. So that's when I knew that the communication was important, and it's a give and take relationship. Even though I'm seeing what's going on, I need to understand, and I need to also know that what I'm saying to him, it's valuable, and his feedback to me is just as important. So those are the things that allowed us to be great together and a great team. And of course, it's a common goal of being the best. Absolutely. That's where it starts from right there. As a partner, as a teammate, the common goal of gold is where we're at.
Wow. But you know, all this sounds so amazing, but I know there's setbacks, and I know there's obstacles that you guys both encountered, both on the individual level and on the team, you know, your pair level. So can you just talk about some of the obstacles that you experienced being a Paralympic guide runner?
I think it's the fact that it's the sacrifice, you know, it's the understanding that this isn't my career. So there's times where I'm a big family guy. I can't get away because someone is relying on me to be at a training. Not only that, if I get injured, I have to make sure I'm still ready to go regardless. There's been times where I've been in race banged up, but someone is relying on me to make sure they cross the finish line. And there's also times where I'm just not feeling it and feeling ready to go. But one of those things that definitely keep me motivated is the fact that someone is relying on me.
Wow.
So there's a little bit of setbacks that are there.
Yeah.
Of course.
Like everything.
It's just like everything. But I think me being in the position that I am as a guide, knowing that my teammates, I mean, you know about this, your teammates, knowing how valuable you are on the team, that's something that always gets you going and gets you fired up regardless of how you're feeling. You got to show up.
Yep. So then how do you balance training for yourself to be, you know, the best physically, mentally that you can be, while also being the best, you know, for that runner?
I definitely think it's even though we're constantly together full time, it is the space that helps you refocus, meditate, and just the talking and communicating with a lot of the people that have been there before you helps me. That's definitely what keeps me going and keeps me motivated and keep me able to be a guide runner.
So then when Jerome Avery's at his best, what does that look like in your life?
And that's a great question. And that's a great feeling. When I'm at my best, I definitely think that from my experiences and the people that I've been around, it brings them up to their best. And that's an amazing feeling right there.
Yeah, I think we share that same sentiment, that making others, whether it be happy, put a smile on their face, you know, if you can change one person's life, that's good enough.
It's a small thing. Sometimes it's a small things, the way that you communicate. And I constantly preach communicate because that's a big part of guide running. The way that you communicate, whether it's through And one thing, let me bring it back a little bit. As a guide runner, you have to have a tether. So we're in 2 lanes instead of 1 lane. So we have a tether when we're running. And that's what connects us. That's what keeps us together, that tether. But that tether is also a form of communication, even if I'm not verbally saying anything. Moving that tether in and out, that's a way that we communicate. If he runs outward and I bring my arm inward, that's a way of me communicating, saying that, come in. So just different verbal cues, whether it's silent or not, that's the way that keeps us going.
Wow. What does success look like to you?
Success, it's trust, it's honesty, it's those are all the important aspects of it. In my world, it's through someone else's eyes. It's the way that I communicate, and it's the way that I preach, as far as motivating, as getting you going from point A to point B. That's the success that I live through. That's the success that I live by.
Has anything changed from your approach to it all when you were running for yourself now you're running for another person?
Yeah, definitely. Once again, it's the communication, and it's also the people's lives that I have touched.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things and the coolest thing about this is that I've been involved in the Paralympics since 2004. But people didn't really started knowing about guide running and the tandem, maybe I would say full throttle at a top level up until 2016, when another gentleman that I was able to run with was able to do something that nobody has ever done, and that's run under 11 seconds at a Paralympic Games.
Wow.
So those are the things that actually touch people, and those are the things that I saw. And even with that being said, after the games were going on, this is how big social media was for me. I was able to go in my DMs and see a lot of parents, mother and fathers reaching out to me saying, hey, my child is blind. What you do is amazing. I didn't even know this existed. So this is an awesome, thank you so much. What do I do? How do I get involved in this? Is there a way you could teach me about guiding? So those are the things that actually continues to bring me to make me a better guide and a better person. It's the people that I'm surrounded by. It's the people that I know that are paying attention.
Wow. You touched on your parents being such important people in your life, but who else inspires you right now?
It's the guys that I'm around. It's Lex Gillette.
Yeah.
Lex Gillette is definitely a big, important person in my life. It's funny because we come full circle. We started together and now we're paired up, preparing and training for 2024. But it's the conversations that I constantly have. We're like brothers on and off the track, comes over often and we just sit there and pick each other's brain. And if you don't know who he is, he does a lot of TED Talks. He's real big in the motivation, and he's the one that I get my inspiration from. Not only that, it's my mother, of course, it's my sisters, my siblings. I lost my father a while back, but he is a part of the big reason why I am, as far as being the funny guy, being the motivator, making you smile. So these are all people that the people that I surround myself keep me to being who I am.
It's funny, the Olympics, they happen every 4 years, but you can't turn it on the year of, you can't turn it on that season. Like, you have to be so obsessed with the journey and the process and not the outcome of just the medal. Can you just touch on that and how you've approached, a training block of 4 years?
Yeah. Training block of 4 years, of course, is hard, preparing, staying focused and sacrificing for 4 years. But luckily there's other competitions that are within that year time frame that you can prep to be prepared and ready for to the time that you go to the games. I definitely feel that, the journey has always kept me motivated, and the years build up to the games have kept me excited. Like you said, the games are every 4 years. And I know that 4 years, that when you reach that milestone to that 4 years, I think about all of the things that I've done within that time frame to get me to where I'm at. And it starts with the training. It starts with being at practice. Like I always say, make my mistakes in training so I don't make them in the competition. And I really take that to heart. And all of my prep, all of my training, I feel has always prepared me for when it's time to be on that podium or when it's time to be at the top of the platform.
Let's talk a little bit about your training. And I've seen it a little bit in Chula Vista through your social media, but can you kind of just highlight, what your training routine looks like, or what are your daily non-negotiables? Just a little bit more into the life of Jerome.
Yeah. So in the mornings, we start every morning, except for Wednesday and Sundays. Those are the only days we don't train. Well, we'll start in the morning. I'm tethered up. I'm running with Lex Gillette, and it's constantly working on different things, working on cues, things that I wouldn't normally say. These are the constant things that I work on. And obviously, while I'm training, I talk more just to build up my lung capacity and everything while we're running. But after we're done training, I still have to make sure that I'm getting in the proper training to run at my top level.
Yeah.
And not only do you want me as a guide runner to run with someone, but you want me to run faster than the person that I'm running with. So after we're done training, I have to do a few more intervals at my top end speed, because as a guide runner, you want your guide to be faster than the athlete that you run with. And then of course, after that, you have gym. We have a strength coach, but I don't have to do all the strength coach training, but same strength coach, but I'm also being alert and watching what he's doing, seeing the technique and where he is at in training. So I'm prepared. And once again, you feed off of each other. And these are the constant things that we do while we're training. And then even after that, we'll sit down, we'll talk about, okay, let's work on this tomorrow. This may work, and also another thing, there is days where you do not get along while you're training together, or you may have a disagreement. Okay, this didn't work. No, I like it this way. I like it this way. But what do you do about that? You talk, you figure it out, and you move on. And I think those are the great things about having a partner and having a teammate, the fact that you can communicate and work through those differences. So when you come back the next day, you'll be more prepared.
No, it's amazing. And so now that you know all this, experienced it, trial and error, what would you tell your younger self?
Not to worry. Like I said, and especially the route I chose, I was able to, one of the coolest things is I was able to still be involved in the sport of track and field, but it's just taken me a different route to get to where I'm at. I like to say I've had the opportunities of running against the best of the best in the world as an individual athlete. I've ran international. I've been on Olympic pool relay teams running extremely fast, but that's just taken me right here. As a guide runner, it's through the roof. There's no comparison. And I'm saying that because of the people that I've been able to touch in my journey as a guide runner. There's a lot of people that I've grown up around that knows me in track and field as an individual athlete. But as a guide runner, there's a lot of people that don't know me from track and field, but just in what I do as a guide runner around the world as a guide.
So then how do you want to be remembered?
As one of the best guide runners, as someone to motivate a person and to work with, just a person that was there to help other people achieve their dreams and still be a part of that success. Like I said, success through selflessness. If he wins, I win. That goes with someone that's whether or not you're pitching it off. Did I say the word right there? You're pitching off or throwing the rugby ball to someone else.
There you go.
And he scores.
Yeah.
You were a part of that.
Yeah.
That goes to a teacher that's with the student and seeing their success and where they're gone. They're a part of that. Whether it's an employee, it's the same thing. Even though we're doing different things, it's similar. The platforms are similar. So that's why I wanted to be remembered. I wanted to be remembered to a person that was there and a part of something that was bigger than myself.
I love that. And you've been on it, I know it's an individual sport, but you've been on different teams, different organizations. You've had different coaches. Can you talk about what separates the best teams from just the good teams?
It's the mindset. It's going into it. It's also the coach. You definitely need that coach that stays on you. I've been lucky enough to be around the most amazing track and field coaches that make me feel like I can run through a wall. But also going into the situation of a new coach, you have to understand there's a process, there's a step. You have to go through those steps in order to go through that program to make sure that you're there.
Do you have any regrets in your life?
Gosh, I don't. No. You know what? I don't. I honestly don't. I'm in the best situation because of the mistakes that were made, of the routes that I chose to go. I could have easily said, no, I don't want to be a guide runner, and then gone a different route. But I wouldn't have known where that would have took me. But this journey and this path that I chose to be on, it's amazing. So there is no regrets to where I'm at right now.
Yeah. What do you wake up every day thinking about?
I think about my dog. I think about my plants. These are the first things. And I think about coffee. Then after that, of course, I think about the things that I can do to help inspire, to help motivate, and to push people.
Yeah.
You know, where I get my energy and where I get my thoughts and my ideas are from me taking long showers. That water, for some reason, does it for me. That's where I get those visions. And as soon as I get out of there, the first thing I want to do is think about, how can I make somebody smile today? What could I do to motivate somebody, even if it's for that brief second? So I'll hop on social media. Hey, hope you guys are having an amazing day. Let's get it.
Yep.
Those little things right there make me feel good. Yeah. Knowing that I can have those thoughts and those mindsets to pump somebody up, because I'll get those messages back. Thank you. I'm ready. Hey, you having a great day too. And that motivates me.
Yeah. Well, whether you hear it a lot, you don't hear it a lot, you are doing that. And you've done it for me quite often. So I do want to say
I appreciate you, man. And I appreciate you. It's always good with you.
Yeah. Okay. So then, I mean, from the outside view, your life looks amazing and you've accomplished so many incredible things, but talk to me, what areas in your life are you still trying to improve?
I think where I want to grow after running and during this process, it's the connection of people all over the United States. You know, me being in the field that I am in, I honestly feel that there's still not a lot of people that know about what's going on. And I love the fact that I'm in the position I'm in to where I can reach those people, and just the connection of going to schools now, teaching the importance of guiding. I definitely think that that's where I'm headed right now. Talking to the corporate groups, especially in the field we are in with the pandemic that hit. You know, that affected a lot of us. It really did. You got a lot of kids that are coming back to school and the social skills are different. You got a lot of employees that are reconnecting, but have never worked with each other. They've only worked with each other via Zoom. So now that they're back in the office, how do they connect? So now I feel like I'm in a position to where I can help connect people due to what I do as a guide runner. So now reaching out to these people at the corporate groups, at team building activities that I do now, we're putting blinders on each other. We're putting together people that have never been paired together, teaching them how to communicate. And this is something that me and Lex do. We do this often. You know, we're teaching people how to communicate, you know, and it's really touching people. It's really showing the fact that immediately you have to delegate your responsibilities. You have to talk. You have to trust. You have to rely on that next person. And these are things that I definitely think that has crossed over outside of the sport of track and field. And this is something that I'm truly passionate about and want to pursue.
Wow. I think so many people, they judge people on what they see. But now you're in a world where it has nothing to do with sight. It has everything to do with actions and words.
Yeah.
You know, and you wish the whole world could get a blindfold on for X amount of time just to understand what that's like.
And I think that's important. And honestly, being in this field, that is something that we should all do, even for that short time frame of connection, be at home, tether up with someone, or even hold hands with that significant other or whatnot, hold hands and put the blinder on, guide them around, have them close their eyes, and even create a pathway of finding different tools that you can connect with. It's just another way that you can communicate for that short time frame. And I think that it's a great exercise for all of us.
So let's sum it up. What are the biggest lessons, being a Paralympic Guide Runner has taught you?
Communication.
Right.
Trust.
Yep.
Motivation. And it's also the way that I paint the picture for someone else that can see. Those are the biggest things. Okay. And that's where my mantra, success through selflessness, guiding lives, has definitely touched and came from.
So Lex has taught you all of this, but what do you think you've taught him?
I think that I've allowed him to delegate his responsibilities more, trusting more. I definitely think that those have been big things.
Yeah, but it must be hard. Like, you grow up and whether you develop being blind or you're born being blind, you're so used to doing it on your own because trust is hard if you can't see it. Maybe that's where some of that, hit that barrier or that wall came. So you've had to you had to break that.
Yeah, I definitely had to break that. And it could be my confidence that I bring into it with that trust, to allow him to feel that he can do something that he's never done while listening to my voice and doing it.
Wow. I got a few little rapid fires,
All right, let's go.
Best advice anyone's ever given you?
Be patient.
Yeah.
I live by that. Being patient has brought me to where I'm at right now.
Amazing. Proudest moment of your life?
It's being on the podium as a guide runner. And I'm going to say this real quick. I am the only track and field Paralympic U.S. guide runner that has ever medaled at a Paralympic game.
Really?
Ever medaled at a Paralympic game.
Well, that's definitely something to be proud of. There's no shame.
I'm extremely excited about that one.
Man. Okay. Biggest fear in life?
Failure, of course. And I'm pretty sure everybody have said this, but it's true. I think that being an athlete and wanting to be so successful and it not working, that's a big fear for me.
So then how do you bounce back from failure?
Preparing yourself, being better prepared. I definitely think that that's what's helped me for the next step, being prepared. And even with that failure, brushing it off and going into it again without fear is the best feeling.
But are you at a point where you view failure as a lesson?
I definitely do. I view it as a lesson, but I mean, as any lessons, we move on and we build from that.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to.
Okay. What would you tell someone, and it's not just an athlete, beginning, their chasing their dream? What advice would you give them right as they start?
Don't be afraid of change. It may not work the way you want it to work, but with hard work, with focus, with determination, it'll work out. Whether it's not in the exact field you want it to work, trust me, it will work out. It always does.
I love it. If Jerome Avery wasn't a runner, what sport would he play?
Sport, man. I think I'll be an actor. I feel like I'll be an amazing actor. The Denzel Washington right here. But no, I love baseball. Baseball was one of my favorite sports before I got into the sport. But unfortunately, baseball and track and field, it was at the same time. My father was a track and field coach. It made sense. I graduated high school weighing 110 pounds. So football was definitely out of it.
Heck no, you're not playing football.
Football was that. Rugby was definitely out of it too, because I see you guys coming at me I'll move it out the way. That's not going to work.
Carlin Isles isn't too heavy, but he's fast.
Yeah, he's fast, but that bad boy can move, and he got the lateral movement. Me being a runner,
yeah, you're straight line.
We're straight. We're straight.
Okay. All right. You said actor. What's your favorite movie?
Forrest Gump is high on my list. You know, I love Forrest Gump. I love the story. And sheesh, what is another one? And you put me on the spot with the movies. That's the only one that I can always come up with full time. This is how you know it's a good movie. When you're able to watch this movie on a regular channel and a commercial comes up and you're still watching the movie all the way through, that's a good movie. And that's one of the main ones I know I can watch straight through.
All right. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Fun, exciting, and motivating.
Last thing. How do I want to say this? Take sports away.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to be remembered as a human being?
Someone that changed the world.
Okay.
That's it.
I love it. I love it. You set your goals high, your dreams high.
That's it.
And well, that's everything I got. I mean, I just have to say how grateful I am to have you on. And I loved every second of this conversation.
And I always do, man. We always have great conversations. And I'm thankful for you putting this together and putting me on, man. So I truly appreciate you allowing me to be on your platform to spread the awareness of guiding and the journey of being great, period, for anybody.
And that's the thing is, what I want out of this is for people to, number one, chase their dreams. Number two, be the best person they can be, not just athlete, because at the end of the day, sports comes and goes.
Exactly.
Number three, we can shed some light on the sport and the life of being a guide.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's Olympic Games out of it.
Yeah.
The next Olympic Games, we're gonna see Lex and Jerome Avery. Their names up there.
It's the plan. Paralympic Games 2024, Paris. That's the goal.
I don't want that to be the first time people see your guys' name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're working on some special things. So hopefully we'll get it out there and be prepped and ready to go before we hit that stadium.
Yeah, I know. There's never doubt with prep for you. So
got to get it going.
Let it happen.
Awesome,
man. This has been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. And I truly appreciate you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah, likewise.
I mean, wow. That's all I got to say about that conversation. Jerome is a stand-up guy, and he inspires me so much as not just a rugby player, but as a human being. I mean, the guy's one of the most selfless guys I've ever met. And the fact that he's living out his dream, simultaneously allowing another individual to chase their dream, is just hands down one of the coolest stories I've ever heard. How a blind man has taught him how to articulate his words, how it's changed him as a human being, and how he, lives his life is something that nobody really gets to hear. And so this story is so cool. And I hope it can change so many people's lives, because at the end of the day, it's not just what you see, it's what you do. It's who you are as a person behind closed doors. I mean, that's really a true testament, to one's character. And Jerome's doing a fascinating and an incredible job, exhibiting that. And so, I just leave this conversation almost with butterflies, because how touching it was to me. And I learned so much from Jerome, and I hope you do too. So guys, stay tuned for more. Like, comment, subscribe to The Chase. We're going to change the world, and I hope you're there with me.